All right, let's look at Solana update on first the macro and our Fibonacci. And keep in mind how we talk about your Fibonacci becomes more important the longer of a time frame you're taking. So this one we have just really two candles, but we're on the 3 months chart, so it is 6 months. But why are we looking at this? Well, normally we wouldn't look at something that short, but we're assuming that we're not going to get to the 1618 of the macro previous cycle high, right? $2,000. Probably not going to reach it this time in Solana. So could we reach the 590? Well, that's even becoming a little bit sketchy, but you know, 3, 4, 500, I think is still doable. And look at this chart. So the move from the bear market lows of, sub $10. So it's already done an astonishing move. But look at the consolidation. Just from a simplistic point of view here. A big move out, and even though we've seen some volatility, 30-40% from highs to lows, from this macro perspective, this just looks like, really bullish to me. And how like we could easily get like another 2x move from here. Look at that candle. So even if we start at current prices and do, a rough 2x, it still gets us above 3. I'm going to be shocked if Solana ends this cycle anywhere under 300. So I'm still thinking like 4 to 5 is still in the wheelhouse. Right? That's not a too big of a ask based on this setup. We're still holding above the EMA 8 on the 3-month chart. Not a whole lot of coins even have that, but I mean, just look at the setup here. Okay, so now let's zoom into the monthly and look how the narrowest Bollinger Bands have ever been in Solana's history. Not that we have a ton of history, but I mean, it looks pretty great to me. Your price action is back above all moving averages as of last month's close, just a handful of days ago, right? We're now back to the EMA 8 on the monthly. Could we wick down again to the 21? Yeah, that would probably be the real good spot to be buying if we get down there around 150, 147, 150. If we're looking to accumulate more here, but I wouldn't fault you really for buying here because I mean, look at the volatility and holding the EMA 8 month over month here. We're now back above the EMA 8 as of a few days ago, back testing the median Bollinger Band in the blue there and the EMA 8. No guarantee that we do it again because we just did it last month. This looks really good. Range highs and then some probably in the next month or two at the latest. If we look at the weekly, I mean, everything's going good here as well. We have a low, really a bounce off of the 200 right there, just under $100. The 200 EMA right there. Established a high, underside retest of these lows, back down again. Higher low, reach up, higher high. Now you're in an uptrend by definition. You need a higher low and a higher high, and we got that right there. And we just confirmed that really 2 weeks ago. Back testing the 21 EMA, holding so far. Worst case, maybe the 100. So if you're buying anywhere between really here and 150, I think that's pretty good if you're looking to get in more. I would assume once we kind of move back above 200 again, like what's the next spot? It's range highs. How do we not expect to knock on the door of 250 again? So if we look at the Fibonacci here, 786 is back to range highs. That would be, look at the reversion at the 618 here. This would be my obvious expectation as soon as we bounce again. Once you start seeing 200, I would be fully expecting 230 or higher, right? Back to those range highs. Maybe we include the 786 in this zone. So no matter when we do it, right? This is the next target. And obviously if we close above this target, then we're kind of price discovery for closing prices. That's what we're looking at. I could see some people trying to argue that we're in some kind of a flag formation here, but this is not true because we are the flag now is longer than the damn pole, right? You can't do that. And you can't climb up more than half of the flagpole. We've done that too. So this is not a bear flag. Don't let anyone try to convince you otherwise. This is an uptrend, right? We're in an uptrend. High, higher low, higher high. That's it. So this is over. I wouldn't expect that. I wouldn't expect some kind of a whatever someone's going to pretend they're a Solana bear and they bear flag. That's not there. That's hallucinations. But let's see what else we see. A close above the 618, 191, 192 should be a big signal that Solana is ready to really move again. We go to the shorter time frames again, like Bitcoin, everything looks a little more sketchy on the more you zoom in, just from the short time frame. So the next, few days to few weeks, whatever, probably a lot of chaos. But next, 1 to 2 months, I think we're going to get back to all-time highs across the board, and then some, right? I think we're going to see a nice little alt season, or nice big alt season. And like it's in the charts now, right? We're seeing the changes in the tides, right? Solana's in an uptrend. It's trying to find its footing still. Does that mean we can't go back down to 150, 148, something like that? Test the 382, the 200? Of course not, right? This is the 600-day EMA, FYI, on the daily chart. This is the 600-day or the 200-day on the 3-day chart, right? So that's a pretty damn big moving average. So I wouldn't be shocked, and we would still keep our uptrend, right? Here's a higher low. It'd still be a higher low. And then we kind of bounce back up and probably going to test that area next. And then, price discovery after that. That's just kind of what I'm looking for. I would be really shocked if we go under this. So if you're lucky enough and you kind of just keep waiting and waiting and waiting, and you wake up tomorrow or next week and you see Solana at 147, and you're looking to get some more Solana, like, let's not be too greedy there. That seems like a pretty obvious spot. Do we go in more? Daily's trying to hold the 100, or the 200 and the 100 is right there. 162. Here's your 600-day right here at 146, 147. Also at the 3.8, the 3.86 there on the fib. That's pretty big, right? The 3.82 and the 600-day is right there. And it would be a higher low. Looks pretty good. And a discount off the highs of almost 30%. That's pretty nice. All right, that's Solana TA there. Alrighty.